Consciousness as a reference in mental hyperspace. A topic that seems so confusing, the name so complicated, but it's so simple, so simple. Mental hyperspace is the moment when any consciousness will appear. You're fine, your brain is fine, it's functioning well, it receives interoceptive information, proprioceptive information, body movement, and it processes it. One mind. According to Damasio, you have a mind and then consciousness within this mental hyperspace, consciousness as a reference. When you understand this, many things will become clearer. And we'll take this example, as I told you, and sent you two blogs. We'll use these two blogs as reference to begin to understand the reference. These two blogs talking about sleep, how sleep occurs, and what this consciousness is like as a reference. Let's go. First, a little more about the stages of sleep. The stages of sleep are an interesting thing, and the stages of sleep, if you look at neuroscience, you'll find something. The stages of sleep are N1, N2, N3. On means non-REM, non-rapid eye movement, non-REM. So N1 is non-REM 1, non-REM 2, N1, N2, N3. Okay. In N1, when you're about to fall asleep, it's an interesting thing because as you enter sleep, you feel something. And this is important for you to know. As you enter sleep, your body is a little heavier. As you're about to fall asleep, it's heavy, it's a little denser, and there are some myoclonus, some contractions. Very pleasant, it's heavy, but it gives your body some contractions. So it's N1. So this is a little bit of strangeness, a slight feeling of strangeness, as if you're losing control of your body. The body is a little denser, right? The emotions, a little brief anxiety and surprise when a jolt comes. Sometimes there's a little contraction, you startle. So this transition will start like this. You start with yawns and then you leave. If you don't have any and then you leave, you wake up, you have some flashes reminiscent of some flashes, okay? You wake up easily. You can wake up easily. Someone who wakes up easily. N2 is a slightly different phase. It leaves N1 and goes a little deeper into N2. That's the threshold of detachment. The tone, the body has reduced tone, the muscles are more relaxed. You feel your body sinking in. N2 is a delight. The feeling is safe, peaceful, as if you're disappearing into the environment. You're fading away, and the emotion is neutral, a sense of rest, and a small image, a somewhat diffuse sound. In the other live stream, I mentioned that there's even confusion with the words. Today, we won't talk about the words, we'll talk about this. And the entry transition, you lose track of time. Some say it's the limbo of timelessness. It's here. This N2 is entering this. My sense of time is ending, it's disappearing. And the exit, if you have a feeling of having suddenly switched off, someone wakes you up in N2. Wow, but I blacked out. The feeling of having blacked out. N3. N3 is the third stage of sleep. N3 is already a deep sleep when the brain lags, the body feels completely heavy, difficult to move. And if someone wakes you up, confusion, you woke up in the wrong place at the wrong time. The feeling is one of absolute belonging of the body to the territory. It's as if you've merged with the environment you're in. You've merged with the earth. You've merged with where you are. It's N3. The emotion is almost absence, and it's a comforting emptiness. N3 is nice. The transition, the entry is a quick dive, a strong dive, inner silence, nothing. N3, the exit, you feel disoriented and your mind is in a daze. It's not good because you weren't supposed to leave. N3, you're just getting ready to enter REM. Then you enter tonic REM, and the tonic already says tonic attention. Re and tonic is a paralysis of muscle movement. You've stopped. the muscle doesn't move. Your brain has already given the order, the muscle doesn't move. So you have total atony and you have your own perception reorganizing at the peak. You feel like you're floating or like you're catalepsy, like you can't move, okay? Still, that's when you're in tonic. So you feel yourself referencing the still body, okay? The feeling is, I am the body, but I don't move. So you have an internal positional adjustment of the body, but externally you don't move. You're in tonic king. The emotion is serenity mixed with a certain strangeness and a bit of fear because you can't move. I have a friend who sometimes wakes up in this part of tonic king and gets a little desperate because she can't move, because she's not supposed to wake up. She just woke up at the wrong time in tonic king. Then there's the in phase king. The king in phase, it's a theater of feelings, many feelings, a lot of things. So in the phasic, the eye movements are very rapid, the breathing is irregular, and the facial expressions are small. You have facial expressions, microfacial expressions. The feelings are strong: joy, passion, anger, fear. It's everything. It's a vivid dream. You're in the rain phase. Emotions are heightened. You live complete stories with emotional involvement. The gradual transition when you enter REM, you have vivid images that appear suddenly. When you come out and wake up, your heart is racing, your breathing is rapid, and your memory of the dream is clear. You woke up at that moment and are clear about the dream. Some people say, I don't dream. If someone wakes them up in REM, they'll remember what they dreamed. So if a friend of yours says they don't dream, or if a friend or your husband or your wife, someone you sleep with or close to, says they don't dream, I'll say, okay, then. I'll wait for you to move your eyes like this very quickly with your eyes closed, and then you'll wake up. You'll remember the sleep. Okay, then. To summarize sleep, the stages of sleep. So N1 jolts, your lavender body. N2, the body sinks heavily and loses consciousness. N3, waking up is difficult and confusing. Waking someone in N3 is difficult and confusing. They wake up confused. In tonic REM, they feel paralysis and a silent, quiet floating. And what about phasic sleep? Emotional stories, dreams, colors, and all that. That's the idea behind dreams. In our live stream today, we'll talk about how consciousness is like a reference in mental hyperspace. They're all mental hyperspace. Mental hyperspace is the human mind. It exists within itself at times, with and without consciousness. The human mind is quite stretched. If your body is fine and functioning, there are times when you have no consciousness at all because you don't reference it. Still going into today's live stream. Consciousness is a reference within the mind. According to my ideas, according to my insights, according to what I hear from scientists about neuroscience, I look at it this way. I have this basis and extrapolate this idea. So consciousness is a reference within the mind. It's a reference within mental hyperspace. I'll make your life easier. Let's assume no. A child learns to speak, learns their emotions and feelings from infancy. In each place in the house, they learn differently. They learn to behave. They learn to experience different visceral and bodily tensions. Sometimes you get a little lost in interoception. Interoception is visceral tensions. Proprioception is bodily tensions. They're proprioceptive. But it's not just tension, but also limited movement when it's proprioceptive. I can limit movement. Tension is also this limitation of movement. So when a child is in the bathroom taking a bath at 1, 2, or 3 years old, they have movements and inventions that they adapt to. If they're in the kitchen, it's different. If they're in their crib, it's different. If they're in the living room, it's different. If they're in their bedroom, it's different. So are we. Every time we enter a new environment, it has an APOS. What is the APOS? This entire environment as it is with me there. So, what is my concept of APOS? It's extended proprioception. My body, my position in this entire environment that surrounds me. So I am part of the environment. This environment can be a collective to which I belong, a group of humans or humans and animals where we belong. We perceive ourselves as one and together with other things. So acts is this concept in which I am inserted. This is acts. Extended proprioception is precisely this perception of this. Some people don't have this perception, and I'll tell you because it's in zone three, and I'll tell you, but if you can have this perception, you've had access to abuse. And then depending on the environment, you have movement restrictions. It's not a restriction that prohibits movement, it's a restriction on your well-being, on your participation in this movement. Just as a child in the classroom has certain movements and learns certain words, in the bathroom it's another, in the kitchen it's another, so too in each post we refer to ourselves. By referring to ourselves, we have awareness. That's the concept I have. So Jackson's concept, the Jacksonian concept. Consciousness is a movement that is perceived to be produced in the metabolism. It's complicated. Consciousness is a reference point in the afterlife, a reference point where you perceive yourself. Here I realize I'm a mother. Here I realize I'm a father. Here I realize I'm a student. Here I realize I'm a teacher. Here I realize I'm an athlete. Here I realize I'm a hiker. Here I realize I'm a driver. Here I realize I'm a musician. Here I realize I'm a singer. Here I realize I'm an engineer. All of this perception of being is consciousness. So consciousness is a reference in the mind. Consciousness is a reference in mental hyperspace. When you go through the stages of sleep, you also realize you're there, but you have restricted brain function because your system is entering sleep, making checklists and calibrating itself functionally in each of the stages. Since I'm talking about consciousness and the reference of being, today we'll focus on proprioception, and today we'll talk about reintonic sleep. It's the moment when you leave N3 and enter reintonic sleep where you're still without movement and you're in a way checking your consciousness, checking the functionality of consciousness, how I present myself in this or that environment, or if I presented myself well in this or that environment. It's a check of the functionality of consciousness itself. Look, quotation marks. The entire universe with you, the whole you, there is no separation. I am separating sleep phases. I am separating the perception of being and consciousness within the sleep phase. Only for understanding. After there is understanding, you return to being the whole. It's like a religious moment. You have belief and you have faith. Belief and faith are tools for you to reach this expanded consciousness, for you to reach transcendence. It's the tool to go. It's the tool to be used to arrive. They are cutouts and tools to be used. There are people and there are religious people who perceive themselves as the tool. And you got lost. That's not spirituality. Spirituality is using the tools of your religion. If you're Afro Brazilian, go Afro Brazilian. If you're Christian, if you're Buddhist, go Buddhist. If you're spiritualist, go spiritualist. All religions have a path to transcendence. Artists have one too. Artists can transcend, and so can we, even without artists. Transcendence is something natural in human beings. You transcend by doing certain things without doubt, going, repeating calmly with tranquility, going to zone two. Zone two is transcendence. because in zone two, you've released visceral and postural tensions. You relax and your body adjusts. This is where miracles happen. Sometimes a person has a huge problem. He's almost dying from so much tension. Then suddenly something lets go, the tensions release, he goes to zone two, and the body heals. Why does the body heal? Because zone two is a healing zone. It's natural for the human body to heal in zone two. Obviously, some diseases have already gone beyond plasticity and elasticity. So even when the body goes to zone two, it's already metabolizing much faster. No, there's no way around it, but most illnesses have already left the psychosomatic zone and entered the anatomical zone. Even so, if I reach zone two, it naturally reverts. Zone two is a relaxation zone. Sleep causes this because sleep, precisely N1, is already a jolt because you're starting to relax your muscles. In N2, you already sink, you're relaxing. N3 has sunk. There's already a brainwashing in N3, which is fundamental. And then you go to the tonic king, you're healing yourself in sleep, yes. But if your tensions due to your beliefs or ideology at work or in what you do or in the tensions of paying it off, which is debt and all that, and you take that to bed, take that to sleep, you compromise those tensions and the healing process of zone two will not occur because it won't enter. It will be a very choppy dream. Or if we start to go overweight, wow, let me go overweight too. We see by the waist it's a little chubby, it's going overweight. What happens? When I start to relax this tonic part, I relax this part here. And when relax this part here, relax inside, and you are breathing. And when you relax inside, he starts snoring, but he relaxes even more. He stops breathing. But then I'm in phase three, already moving on to the tonic, the re and tonic, and I'm going to begin the healing process. He stopped breathing because he got stuck, because he went overweight. The person has a lot of accumulated fat in that area. He got stuck. Sleep becomes superficial and returns to N2 or N1, snoring, and then back. So what happens? You're not facing zone two, you're not letting your body slow down. This is important for you to know. So it's important to let zone two happen. It's also important even awake, which I call zone one. Awake, you can be zones one, two, and three, too. But awake, normally you put on tension, do something, visceral and postural tension, and do something, relax. And then when you relax, you return to your healing process. When you tense to do something, you don't even feel thirsty. But when you finish making it, wow, I was thirsty. That's right, because you relaxed, and then the feelings of hunger and thirst appear again. Or the tension is so great and the cause of anxiety is so great that there's neither hunger nor thirst, there's just the compulsion to eat, which sometimes happens to me. The tension and anxiety are so great that I'll eat even when I'm not hungry, then I won't feel like I'm doubled over. And I wasn't hungry, rather than pure anxiety, because in fact the tension was imposed. It was almost tension, visceral and bodily, with zone three, where you don't have much control and you can enter the process of compulsion. This is very complicated. We return consciousness as a reference in mental hyperspace. So, what happens for you to gain control of your consciousness? You arrive at the location, and you basically, in the place you arrive, you already determine which character you're going to be. That's the idea. Which character are you going to be there? What character will I play? Here I'll enter as a student, as a teacher. Here I'm just one of this group. I belong to everyone. This group doesn't want me. When I think this group doesn't want me, I'm already excluding myself from the group, but I'm excluding myself as a conscience. Because consciousness is a reference I've placed myself within. We always place ourselves intuitively or unconsciously. We already place ourselves within, or it depends on people's reactions. They don't like me, they don't want me, and I place it there. But that moment when I place this reference in this space, in this cognitive space, in this emotional space, in this sentimental space, in this space, mountains, rivers, forests. I place myself there and reference myself. This referencing is consciousness. And the consciousness you place perceives different things. The stimuli may be the same, but if you place them in different consciousnesses, the stimuli may be aggressive or non aggressive because it depends on the consciousness you referenced. More than dependence on the stimulus itself. So the stimulus can be extremely aggressive. A neutral stimulus can be extremely aggressive, or it can be extremely pleasant, depending on the consciousness you're referencing. So it's important to know how to reference yourself in this mental hyperspace. You're there. In N3, someone wakes you up, you get high, there's no way around it, you feel a bit high. But if you've completed all the phases, N1, N2, N3, REM, tonic, REM, phasic, and woke up, you're a little confused when you wake up. Hey, I'm at home, I'm on vacation. Look, I'm at home, I'm on vacation. Look at consciousness. He referenced it. And this reference, everything that happens around you, you will perceive with reference to this consciousness. You will perceive differently than if you wake up, I'm late. Even if it's a lie, okay? Sometimes you, I, or even you at some point woke up thinking you were late for an appointment and you weren't and you didn't have that appointment, but at the time you feel that tension of being late and then you get a little lost, and you perceive the external stimuli in a different way than if you woke up and said, I'm on vacation, I'm fine, I work in a nice place, everything's fine with me, everything's fine with me. And you referred to the good point. If you are hearing the world in a very bad way, you can change reference in your mind. The mind is what you feel through proprioception and interoception. But extended proprioception is how you reference yourself in the space where you are. And by referencing yourself in the space where you are, I will reference myself in that space as a teacher, as a student of yoga, of meditation, a student of fruition and metacognition. I like that. If not, I'll have a moment now, a momentum of fruition and metacognition. I'll spread myself in this perception of being. I'll enter a process of transcendence. At that moment, when you enter the process of transcendence and enlightenment, you will know that it is time to feel transcendence. It is not the time to do something. To do in transcendence, you are the whole. To do, you have to cut, learn, and focus. You become a tool of doing. To do, you have to tense your muscles to walk, to hike, to climb a tree, to climb down a tree, and you tense your eyes to have feelings. Understand? In transcendence, you have relaxed. Transcendence is about feeling, not doing. But in this feeling, bodily and brain functions are tested and improved, and some healing occurs. It's an epiphany. Transcendence is an epiphany. The body heals itself. Why does the body heal? Because I'm not putting any tension on it. No obligation, no tension, neither visceral nor postural. The body goes to zone 2, the body goes to transcendence, the body goes to hypophania. It will heal from some problem because you've relaxed. And what is relaxation? You're not attached to faith or insecurity or fear. No, you're slacking off. There are people who are heading toward transcendence and they have to keep thinking about their beliefs or faith. That's not transcendence. Faith takes you there. I told my brother, he's here at home, and I told him, look, transcendence is something like this. You have a river, and on the other side of the river, transcendence takes you to the other side of the river. When you get to the other side of the river, you look and see there was no river. Because in truth, our doubts don't let us pass. Our doubts, our beliefs, our habits are sometimes so full of doubts and problems that we can't cross to the other side of the river. The river itself is a cultural invention that can't reach transcendence. It can't reach zone 2 of relaxation and bodily healing. So You get stuck in zone 1 or zone 3 because zone 3 is the cultural imposition of a visceral and postural tension upon you, a bodily tension. You know that tension? Postural with the shoulder already hunched. It's not free. There's no pleasant movement or visceral concentration within. It's not muscular because of tense viscera. So when this releases, the body is free to heal itself. Consciousness is a reference in mental hyperspace, but all consciousness and all reference will impose visceral tension and also an imposition of bodily tension. When you release that consciousness and go into transcendence, you are free. I don't perceive myself as Jackson, neither man nor woman. I perceive myself to be the whole, the diluted. Because I left consciousness, this referable one, I just opened it. I entered a process of transcendence, a process of body and territory, a different process. You let go. Do you understand? This is very important. So, look, consciousness is a reference where you perceive the volumes around you in your own body. And with each reference, you limit your movements, posture, words, feelings, because that environment has rules and norms. And these rules are you can do this, you can feel this, and you can feel that. And you adapt to these rules and norms. You there? Of Apos, the territory of that place. Guys, this is what I wanted to leave you with. This is really cool. You can listen to this over and over again and take a look at the blogs because blogs are more written about things. Here we just give you this general information so you know how to calibrate your consciousness or your reference in the environments you go to. And if something is getting a little bad, try to change your consciousness. How am I going to change my consciousness? Change my reference. Now I'm not a mother. Now I'm not a grandmother. Now I'm not a father. Now I'm a son. Now I'm a student. Now I'm a disciple. Now I'm a master. You're changing your frame of reference. At that moment, your consciousness itself, your perception of life changes because perception changes according to these references within your mind. The mind of mental hyperspace or the mind of the Amazon.